are you licking my gobstopper?
Strike that. Reverse it.
Fancy punks! Lick my plate! Drainage!
It'll be 10 minutes where it's like a Steven Soderbergh Ocean's 11 movie. It's all slick and funny and stuff. Then just the most horrific shit imaginable happens.
It's because that's what the fucking movie's about, you asshole.
This fucking guy.
The Tree of Life is freaking awesome.
I'm sure you think it is.
Faded to black.
Oh, you are fucking this up.
Neon slime. I said I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. Being a cinematique where I like, I like the sets and I like all that stuff.
What did you say? Cinematique?
I don't know.
Jared Leto, man.
You're the worst, dude. If you ever listen to this, Jared Leto, you are the fucking worst. I'd rather watch that dude, the English dude, who looks like he's not done yet.
This movie is the opposite of getting laid.
Thank you to all our listeners who have been listening to us for over a year now. Subscribe to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and any other platform that has podcasts. Visit our Patreon page, become a Patreon to get more additional content. Again, we appreciate you listening and keep watching those movies. Now, on with the show. I'm just like my father, too old. Maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Never fucking satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? Mommy, why did you need 7 dicks on my 11th birthday? Why wasn't my love ever enough for you? What I didn't want was for my cheek to stick to your bare breast because it was covered in semen. Follow your inner monologue and open up Apple iTunes and listen to Lee Bridges, Doug Wall, and Garrick Lane. This is Tales from the Video Store, brought to you by Golden Ticket Cinemas. Welcome to Tales from the Video Store, number 84.
84?
Getting up there, man.
I thought it was 82.
Nope, 16 away from the big 3 numbers.
Wow.
Well, how was everybody's week?
Not bad.
Not bad. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but when the James Bond movie was once again delayed, Regal Cinemas closed their doors.
I was just about to bring that up.
It's crazy, man. I can't even believe it. And then something else to tie into that news, Hocus Pocus almost beat Tenet at the box office. That's how crazy this time is right now.
Right. That is crazy.
I don't really understand exactly what the fuck that means when you say that. Are you talking about they're reissuing it at, like, drive-ins?
Yes.
And more people are going to see fucking Hocus Pocus than are going to go see Tenet.
That's correct.
Or
that is exactly
Tenet.
what he's saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, it is October.
Maybe. Well, Regal Cinemas have closed down. They said that the James Bond getting delayed is was pretty much the nail in the coffin.
So that pushed them back from, it was, we just talked about it a couple weeks ago, it was supposed to have been Thanksgiving release, and now it's been pushed back until
April.
Easter.
Easter, basically.
Yeah.
They're messing us up, too, because we keep wanting to have a bond block, and they keep pushing us back. We're going to end up having to go out of business, too, because everybody's waiting on that bond block.
We're going to figure something out on this Bond shit.
It's unbelievable. And then on top of all that, I totally had a brain fart.
Yes.
Oh, Thomas Jefferson Bird.
Oh, that was crazy.
Sweetness from the pimp from He Got Game. Dead, got shot in the back in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I wonder why he
Was it at his house or was he out on the street?
I think it was out of the street. They haven't posted much out. I'm sure some sort of altercation had to have happened. Somebody didn't, unless it was just a random act of violence, like Rick Moranis was. Everybody's all mad at that black dude for punching Rick Moranis in the New York street. The only reason they're mad is because it was Rick Moranis. Had that been me and he would have turned the corner and punched me in the face, nobody gives a shit.
That's true.
He punched the wrong head.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what happened, but yeah, he was in almost all of Spike Lee's movies after Clockers.
Yeah.
He was a good actor. I mean, he always played the same guy, but I always like smiled when I'd see him in in the movie. I'd be like, oh hell yeah.
There he is.
Yeah. That sucks. And then, did you guys hear? Fucking Clint Eastwood is directing another movie.
I'm pretty sure he's starring in it as well.
Like, that's
He
crazy.
is.
Fuck it. He's going for it. He's almost 90. Why not?
That's just. I hope that I'm that sharp when I'm 90.
Did either of you guys ever catch the?
Yeah, you're not that sharp now.
Yeah, no. Did you guys ever catch the Mule?
No. Is it good?
Neither one of you guys ever saw the Mule.
I did.
You did. It's rough
Yeah.
to see him like that, isn't it? And I don't know if I want to see him 3 or 4 years past that trying to do something else. I
I know what
mean,
you mean.
he's great in it, dude. He's perfect in it. You know, it's this
But he's
haggard,
old and
but
he's
it's
grizzled.
you're just looking at him like, God dang, dude.
It's like Paul Newman in Message in a Bottle with Kevin Costner. He was just so old, but he was just, you could tell he's just slogging through it.
Yeah, it just, you know, there's old and then there's oh goddamn, and he is at like the oh goddamn stage where like, you know, you can almost see through him, because his skin's so fucking thin. I mean,
Right.
God bless him, man. One of my favorites of all time. I love the guy. I'm happy he's doing it, but you got to really prepare yourself if you're going to go into that. I think,
Right.
unlike
Yeah,
some
'cause
other.
he's
Yeah.
got to have physical help directing now. You know, as far as just the stamina of like, you know, making the days and everything. There's no way. I mean, I don't know if they just have like a shorter shooting schedule where he could just pretty much just direct as long as he wants. But I mean, it takes a lot of energy to make a movie. I mean,
Yeah.
in any
Oh,
job
yeah.
on set.
And then to not only to direct it, to be in charge of everything, but then also to be the main character in it again. That's
Yeah, exactly.
That's a tough act for anyone at any age, much less somebody approaching 90 years old like he is. But
I'm sure they have a different schedule. I'm sure of it. I'm sure he's not doing 14, 15-hour nights.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they just plug a couple nap times in, and
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't
Maybe
know.
he sits in a recliner and directs from a TV
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, nevertheless, we will have one more Clint Eastwood movie.
And by God, I'll watch it.
Yeah, you have some news there, Lee?
What's that?
Do you have some news?
Well, the ones I was going to talk was, the movie theaters closing. That was the one I was going to talk about. You know, just everything getting like, you know, Netflix is canceling shows that they previously, you know, renewed. You know, I mean, just everything's got like I can't imagine how 2021 is going to be entertainment wise, because now we have sort of a stockpile of movies that haven't been released. You know, but eventually that's going to run out. So the next year and a half is going to be pretty thin. If you're a low budget filmmaker, now is your time to strike. Because eventually the studios are just going to run out of movies.
Yeah.
You know, even if they go like Batman got pushed back to 2022, so it's not coming out next year. You know, I mean, everything's either getting canceled or delayed.
Yeah, I think I saw
so
Dune. When Dune got pushed back to like October next year, and it was supposed to have come out like Christmas this year, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. I get what you're saying about the
I'm glad
stockpile.
you said that. That reminded me of something I wanted to talk about. And it's something I want to ask Garrick about because it's kind of a constant argument we have, entertainment versus art. So that reminds me of my douchebag of the week. My douchebag of the week is Alejandro Jodorowsky, who tried to make Dune in the 70s. And his reaction to the new Dune, the trailer, was that it's very impressively made, but there's nothing about it as art. It's industrial cinema. It's all just, it's filmed by committee. And I wouldn't describe, how do you say his last name? Dennis
Villanueva?
I wouldn't describe him as that at all. As some sort of, paint by numbers hack filmmaker who just makes popcorn movies.
No.
Well, that just goes to show you, no matter how much acclaim you get, how great you are, how much, if you get to make a sequel to Blade Runner, there's someone out there who still thinks you're a fucking sellout hack and you suck.
Well, I mean, okay, I don't know, I don't agree so much with that, but my buddy Mike D and I just had this conversation about Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is a very clinical filmmaker. None of his movies make me feel anything besides, oh, that's great. And let me explain myself. Like Inception, when he sees his kids, I'm not overjoyed. Whereas Mel Gibson probably would have made that movie differently, but I would have been. Like Mel Gibson, let's say Braveheart, when he's running, he says, they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Your skin, your hair stands up on end.
Are you saying that Nolan kind of takes the emotion?
Yeah, it's clinical. All his movies are clinical, and I feel like Dennis V is the same way. Even though I love them, Mandy's great. They're all great, but they're not. Can they make you cry? Can they make your hair stand on end?
Prisoners did that.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
I mean, Prisoners is that's.
I don't think he's as clinical as Nolan. I wouldn't compare that. Nolan is and I've actually talked to Mike about this on Facebook via the page chat. And I told him, I said, Nolan sometimes comes across as sort of the Stanley Kubrick of action movies.
Yeah.
Like everything's so precise. And, basically, it does come down to, there are visual, to me, especially in regard to, action movies, things like that, there are visual filmmakers and visceral filmmakers,
Yes.
You're either like Stanley Kubrick or Sam Peckinpah, where it looks amazing or it feels like you've been punched in the face. And but I think Dennis, I think he's actually a bit of both, because there are definitely visceral moments in Sicario that are not just aesthetically beautiful. So I would definitely disagree with that about him.
Right. Well, like I said, it's more Nolan. I mean, I remember Interstellar. When he leaves his daughter and he's driving off in the car and the music starts wailing. That should be a moment where you're almost emotional because the girl, and I can't think of her name right now, rushes out of the porch and is chasing after him because he's leaving to go and he's never coming back. And it's not real emotional, but that's a Nolan movie. That's just how it is.
This is fucking terrible.
What's happened?
Eddie Van Halen's dead.
Eddie Van Halen died?
Eddie Van Halen's dead. Fuck. We were just talking about Diver Down last week.
Yeah, absolutely were. Was it cancer? Because I know he had cancer a couple years ago.
I don't know, man. I just had it from a couple of buddies of mine. They're like, fucking Eddie's dead. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Damn.
Yep, died at 65.
Glad
it was cancer.
Glad I
It
got
had
to
to
see
be
him
cancer.
when I did. I went and saw them
Pound cake.
a couple of years ago. Well, in high school we saw him, yeah. And then I saw him tour with the original vocalist, whoever. Fuck, man, my mind just went all
David
crazy.
Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth.
Yeah. I saw them
You
down
saw
in
him
Charlotte.
with Dave. That's awesome.
Yeah, what was it, summer before last? Or 3 summers ago, whatever. It was fucking awesome, dude. I think it was 2017 I saw him. Maybe it was 2016.
Well, that's sad. R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen, man.
Yeah,
I had
fuck,
every
man.
one of the albums. It's great.
Damn, that's weird. Sorry about that.
Great. Okay, well, that'll do it for the show today. That's pretty
Just
much
came in with a fucking...
suck the freaking energy out of this, right?
It's fucking more 2020, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I love the meme, man. I tell you, there's tons of memes, and I don't pay attention to many. But the funniest one I saw was that picture of Roy Scheider and Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss sitting in the boat, and they're smiling at the camera, and it says, "If 2020 was a fishing trip."
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day that somebody said, "Is that thunder?" And the other one said, and the other guy said, "I don't know. It's 2020. Knowing this year, it's probably fucking Godzilla."
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah. All right, well, movie theaters, just like Doug predicted back in March, man. I remember us on our Contagion episode. You were saying that movie theaters may not ever be the same. It's starting to show that way. AMC has said that they will stay open no matter what. They will get through this. We will see.
As of now, though, I can't see that. Basically, let's say AMC and whoever, 2 years from now, they may be the only, only business in town unless the government does some sort of bailout. I just can't see it otherwise. Because
people are not going to go back to the movies
long term.
Yeah, people aren't going to go back to the movies.
Not like you might think. I just don't see it. All the shit that keeps happening, man, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, the President of the United States just got COVID.
Right, well, it's like, do you want to keep, regardless of how you feel about this virus, if you think it's, this serious or not serious, it's just like, after you get inundated with all this for long enough, it's like, doing something as non-lethal as anything you could imagine, like going to see a fucking movie, is now something that poses a potential health threat. I don't see it coming back for a long time from this, if at all. But we'll see. I'll be pulling for him, but...
Yeah, I saw Glow got canceled. What else got canceled, Lee?
Tons of things. Yeah, Glow got canceled this morning. Several things that had already been... it's like several network shows that I don't pay attention to, but I read they said they'd already, they were in pre-production on their next season, and they got canceled.
Wow, crazy. Wow. All right, well, let's get into it. The movie this week.
Right.
The movie this week. All right, Lee, this is your movie. It's Tom Savini. I see your mouth watering from over here. Let's get to it.
All right, from 1980, directed by William Lutzig, starring the late great Joe Spinell. It's a slasher movie, but it was it came out in 1980, so that's the same year as the original Friday the 13th. So the rules weren't really. This is basically just one of the first slew of movies that's capitalizing off the success of Halloween 2 years earlier. So like the slasher sort of rules had not been set in the way they would have even like 2 years later. And it's a film about a guy named Frank Zito. No relation to Joe Zito, the guy who directed Invasion USA from last week. Frank Zito, who's a guy who lives in he's sort of an amalgamation of like John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy. Like he's basically like, they just took aspects of various serial killers who were in the news at that time and put them together into this maniac. And he's a guy, he lives in an apartment by himself, and he just goes out and he finds women, kills them, scalps them, and then nails their scalps to mannequins in his apartment, and then sleeps with them and pretends they're his dead mother. And it's only 88 minutes long, but it is horrific from beginning to end. And it's when DVDs first came out, this is one I bought that I'd never seen. I guess I went to Media Play. Some DVD store that's long since out of
Media
business.
Play, dude. God, I used to love that place.
I did too, and I bought this, and it just it's in my my early 20s. I was very into sleazy movies like this. Movies that are just
what you.
Yes.
Oh man, say it ain't so.
It's just when they say they don't make them like that anymore. They don't make movies like this anymore. So what did you guys think?
Derek?
All right. It was okay. It was okay. There were 3 great scenes that gave it its only wheels, and that was the obvious Tom Savini's brilliant work of his head getting blown off in
That
the
was
car.
the shit, dude. Oh my god. It was
Slow motion. It doesn't get any better than that.
shotgun to the face.
The part where Mama comes out of the grave is awesome. And then when all the girls that he killed come back to haunt him, or his dolls come back to haunt him at the end, that's pretty awesome. Some of it didn't make any sense. I think this isn't going to be a weird review because I personally didn't like the movie. However, I do enjoy the fact that there were women that protested this movie, and this was a big controversy, controversy back then. However, for me, it didn't have the wheels. I had not seen this movie in a long time, and I watched it for the first, I would say technically for the first time this week. And I just wasn't real impressed besides those 3 scenes, and I think that I appreciate the controversy that it might have stirred up when it was made. But I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie any more in that day and age than I do now. It just wasn't very good. He just kind of stumbled through, like those girls were just kind of like, "Hey, come on in," and then he'd kill him. I don't know. It just felt weird. I just didn't like it. There you go.
Fair enough. What'd you think, Doug?
Okay. I liked it a little bit more. I will say this, you said it was like 80 minutes or 88 minutes long. It felt like it was about 2.5 hours long to me.
The voiceover, the fucking inner monologue, man. I think that's what killed me.
Well, the inner monologue, here's what I'll say about it. I think maybe had we not been so inundated with this sort of like kind of like showing the inside of like a crazy person. We've seen this in a bunch of movies. But when this came out in 1980, we were all kids. We didn't see it when it was fresh. And to me, it would have been like maybe like going to see like Psycho for the first time and being like, oh my god, he's his mom. That same kind of like really freaked out reaction because of what he was saying and all that. Like, we've seen and heard stuff like that for the last several decades now. But when this came out in 80 and we were kids, I'm sure it was quite a bit more of like a delve into like some really fucked up person's head. And that's what it is to me. It's more about like how crazy the character is than it is about him hunting people down or anything like that. Because there's really no there's no rhyme or reason as to why he really does it.
Right, and I think that's one of my problems.
He comes out one time and he takes like a shotgun and breaks it down and puts it in a violin case and rolls out and uses a shotgun. The next time he goes out, he takes a bayonet. And it's the killings and what he does seem like almost too random. Like the chick in the subway, it's like, so she's the only fucking person in a New York subway. It's not like it's 3 a.m. It's like she just got off from her shift at the hospital. It's just an odd movie. And like I said, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I don't know if I have ever seen this before. Some of it felt like I knew it, and some of it didn't. So if I have seen this before, it had to have been sometime in the 80s. I know they did a remake in 2012 Lee, did you see the remake starring
I did.
Frodo Baggins?
Elijah Wood plays Frank Zito in that,
Yeah.
and the movie's all through his point of view. Like not like his point of view story wise. Like when the camera looks in the mirror, you see Elijah Wood. Like it's through his eyes.
I see. Okay.
And I wasn't interested in it, and
Yeah.
I will disagree. I think there's more than a few like that. I think the subway scene, even though you're right, it doesn't make sense. There's no one else there. I think that's a very well constructed scene as far as her hiding from him.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like there's no rhyme or reason to it because I don't think they were going for like a. I mean, with people who murder people, often there is no rhyme or reason. Like we could, like the gentleman from the Spike Lee movies, we may find out that he just got shot for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's just how things are. But what Joe Spinell, who actually co-wrote the movie, his point with the movie, which does not come across at all in the movie, was that Frank was incredibly abused by his mother.
Yes.
And
No,
to
you hear
him,
it.
this was like an anti-child abuse movie.
Because you're making monsters.
Right, exactly. But
Yeah.
I don't think that really. I mean, I guess you sort of get a sense that he's got a lot of issues with his mother, but it's certainly you don't feel sympathy for him, which I think that's what Joe Spinell was going for.
Yeah.
Because he actually planned a sequel where Frank, at the end, you find out he lived, and like he's in like across on the other side of the country, in like Arizona, and he's like a children's show host called Mr. Robbie, which is what the sequel is supposed to be. And then kids write him letters saying how their parent, like they're being abused, and then he would go and kill the parents.
That seems about right.
Right, and I think Joe Spinell, he was just a guy who had a terrible childhood. He was in the 70s. He was in every movie. He's in the first two Godfathers. He's in the first two Rockies. He was the loan shark Rocky worked for in the first Rocky.
Yeah.
He was in he was in tons of movies in the 70s. And oddly enough, he died. He had is it hemophilia where if you get cut yourself, you won't stop bleeding?
Yeah.
He
Hemophilia.
he had severe hemophilia. And he actually kept the severed, when the women come back to life and tear him apart, he kept the severed head on his mantle after the movie. And they kept it there up until he died in 89. And he was like, I think a glass table broke and it cut his forearm, and he bled to death in his apartment. He just couldn't get it to stop bleeding. But apparently, when the EMTs finally busted down his door 2 days later, the place was covered in blood, and the first thing they saw was his severed head on the counter.
Oh, wow.
And the director even said he probably would have thought, Joe Smith probably would have thought that was funny had he been there to see it. But it's a very weird. It's a first-time director, William Lustig. He went on to direct the Maniac Cop movies and tons of other movies. So it is a very rough movie. But the thing it's probably most known for is, like you were saying, Garrett, the controversy. Women's groups actually went up on billboards and poured white paint over them and tried to paint over the billboards when this movie came out.
And didn't it have an X rating?
It did. In England, it was completely banned altogether. It was what they called a video nasty, where cops would actually go into video stores and take videos off the shelf in England.
Yeah.
Because apparently they had no other legal problems in England in the early 80s.
Yeah, no kidding.
So cops had that kind of free time.
So this would have to be the only X-rated movie that I've ever heard of that has zero nudity in it.
Right.
When you have a serial murderer going around killing prostitutes, and some other just random people, and then scalping them, and the closest we got to a nipple was, on a dummy in his apartment. That was disappointing to me.
I think you see Joe Spinell's nipples at one time if that does anything for you.
You do, I think, on more than one occasion, and that made this movie even creepier than it already was.
Right. Well, he was a very creepy looking guy.
I will say this though: the photographer, the female photographer from the park, Jesus Christ, blazing hot. But
yeah.
I could not figure out in the movie how he just all of a sudden shows up, and then the next thing I know, they're out to fucking dinner, and they're the best of friends. It was so fucking strange.
That is completely random.
It was really, they did like a really quick move on that. Because like I'm watching, he like stumbles over to like her bag, and then the next thing I know, they're drinking fucking wine at dinner talking about his dead mom. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
I love how cool he seems in that dinner scene. Like how his hair's slicked back, he's wearing sunglasses.
Yes.
He seems completely disinterested in her.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like he's playing hard to get.
Yes.
You know? It's so random and weird, and I love it. I love just the sort of schizophrenia, the sort of schizophrenic nature of this movie where it just, you know...
Parts like that where
almost,
it like makes you uncomfortable.
Right. Exactly.
I like that too. Yeah, like... Yeah.
It was okay. I like the nostalgic aspect. It just didn't do anything for me. Maybe I'm desensitized. I didn't feel any sympathy for him. I think really his voiceover, his inner monologue to me was it's just one of those annoying things.
It is very weird, that tone of voice he uses. Because I guess he's supposed trying to sound like what his mother would have sounded like.
Right, but it wasn't real good. Not like, no, mommy, you know, like not like mother, like Norman Bates, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's just something different. I don't know. I do appreciate the movie, though. I wish you could make movies like that now, but...
You can. I think you still can.
I would like to see the movie on how they blew Tom Savini's head up.
That was the shit,
That was
dude.
the shit.
It was one of the best, it reminded me of that scene in, I believe it's like the beginning of Miami Vice where they unload a .50 caliber on a couple guys that are in a truck, and it's just like body parts exploding. But it was just, Frank just, I don't know, has some moves for a 270-pound fucking schleb, and he just like kind of weaves his way out of the shadows and jumps on the hood.
Spider-Man's on the fucking
and just kaboom, Savini right in the face. It's an amazing shot. One of the best ones I can remember seeing in anything in a long time.
Well, how they did that was they just shot a dummy, a rubber head full of fake blood with an actual shotgun.
And it was glorious.
Which you would go to jail for now, bringing a live firearm on a film set.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's amazing, they actually showed that in the trailer. That's crazy that they showed that in the trailer.
The trailer is insane. The trailer is actually, like, now that a lot of horror films are rated PG-13, we have a lot of ghost movies and stuff. The trailer for Maniac is more violent than most movies now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to give it to the people who made the trailer. They weren't, they wanted you to know what you were getting into if you saw this movie.
100%. Yeah.
It's not like the poster is him is a painting of him holding a bloody scalp and holding a knife. So I doubt anybody saw this movie and thought it was going to be
Driving Miss Daisy. Well, all right, but it's definitely a rent. Even though I disliked it, it's still a rent because of what it is, and Tom Savini and the controversy that came with it. Right? It's a movie. Anybody that listens to our show and is on our Facebook would need to watch this movie.
If you like not only horror movies, but if you like horror that's kind of taken to like another level, kind of where you want to kind of get into the, what's the mental state of character A here? Why is he doing these things? This kind of dives into that a little bit more than, say, like a Friday the 13th. So if you really just kind of want to see the odd makeup of a really crazy dude that happens to be murdering people, check this out.
There you go.
Yeah.
What else you watch?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I had Oliver, so I wanted to find some stuff that we could watch together. He's gotten in this phase where if it's not a comedy, he doesn't even want to even really give it a day in court. So, first movie we watched was one that I've seen before, I've discussed before, so I won't really go into it, was Jojo Rabbit. And he loved it. He just thought he thought that Waititi playing Hitler was like the greatest thing he'd ever seen. So going from that, I was like, okay, something like that. That's a very Wes Anderson-y kind of a movie. So I went big with The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and thought that, I don't know, I thought he would appreciate it for what it is. I thought he would get the kind of subtle humor about it and all. And man, he fucking hated it. He just, 45 minutes into the movie, he was like, Daddy, this is supposed to be a comedy, like, this is not funny. This is sad. You know, and at the end, he reiterated, he said, man, that movie was just sad. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. Maybe when you get a little older, I said, just come back to it in about 10 years and maybe you'll have changed a little bit and you'll maybe understand it a little bit better. So, looking for something that was kind of between Jojo Rabbit and The Life Aquatic, I fumbled through my DVDs and found O Brother Where Art Thou, the Coen Brothers 2000 Odyssey opus, I guess. And man, he loved it. He thought, he was like, now this is funny. And I know that he didn't understand 75% of the actual humor in the movie, you know, but I think just the overall, the way that people spoke and kind of the goofiness about it, he liked. You know, I got to be honest about this movie. I had not seen it it's been well over 10 years since I'd revisited this movie. I didn't really like it. I didn't really care for it. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this scene, man, I forgot how great this scene is. It was just kind of like, yeah, okay. You know, Oh Brother Where Art Thou is as popular as it was 20 years ago, and in some circles I'm sure it probably is still as popular today with certain groups. It's a one-time watch, dude. It's a one-time watch. It's a great one-time watch, but I can't imagine ever going back and revisiting that and thinking, oh man, I'm going to get something else out of this.
I think after the flood, I'm kind of like, all right, dude, when's this over? When's this going to be over?
I was like that with just about every scene. You know, I was watching him really more than I was watching the movie to see how he reacted and you know, what he kind of felt and thought about each of the scenes, and he really enjoyed it, but you know, for me it was just kind of meh, you know, which was a little bit surprising, as popular and as much as I liked it about 20 years ago when it came out.
Right.
Then finally, Sunday night, I had a little time to myself, so I got on Amazon Prime and started digging for something that I wanted to see if I could find something that I thought would maybe be comparable to Maniac. And after doing a thorough search, I found 1977's Eaten Alive by Tobe Hooper. I believe this was the movie he made directly after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Is that right, Lee?
That is correct.
Have you seen it?
Oh, I've seen it.
Okay.
Of course.
Did
you really ask that question?
Sometimes, you know, you never know. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this movie. The very first line of this movie is, "My name's Buck, and I came here to fuck," which is a very popular line from Kill Bill, when the bride wakes up in the hospital and these male nurses have been raping her. And so I immediately...
young Robert Englund.
I was going to say it's Robert Englund saying these lines as he's trying to sodomize a prostitute in a whorehouse down in southern Texas. And basically the madam comes in, throws out the prostitute, and Robert Englund, for his trouble, gets a 2-for-1. Which I thought, you know, only in South Texas and only in the late 70s, right? So the girl gets booted out, and she is given directions to a place called the Starlight Motel, where she goes to get a room. Immediately when you get to the hotel, I paused the movie and I was like, man, where was this shot? Because it has a very odd look to it. It's all done on a soundstage. None of it's done outside. It's all indoor shots, even though it's supposed to take place in like the outskirts of the swamp. And it gives it like a really odd look to it.
It's almost like a fairy tale.
Everything has like a hazy glow around it. You know?
Right.
It looks cool. And then once the story kind of unfolds, it makes it even odder because it is such a fucking weird movie, dude. It's not just like a hack 'em up and see what you get kind of a movie. It's very, very strange. Everybody that's in this is very, very odd. The guy that runs the hotel is this guy named Judd. The girl shows up. He's like, you must be one of those hookers that works down at the whorehouse. So of course he tries to rape her. And when that doesn't work out...
So Rapey England this time. It's Rapey McEngland.
It's Robert McRapey. Yeah, for sure. Robert Englund.
Robert McRapey.
Well, but Robert Englund was in that original scene. He's not Judd. That's Neville Brand, who's playing the guy that owns the hotel. And he takes like this weird crooked pitchfork and kills her with it, and then throws her in over the railing down into this little, I guess where the swamp is, and he's got this massive... They say it's a crocodile from Africa. It's not an alligator. You know, who can really tell? Because it's one of the worst looking things, like animals in a movie, like animatronic animals I've ever seen. It's laughable, dude. I mean, it's just terrible. But all that aside, I actually really kind of enjoyed the movie. It's very fucking strange. Like, this family shows up and it's like a mom, a dad, a little girl, and a dog. The dog immediately gets eaten by this alligator. They get up to the room, and they have these close-up shots of the dad, and his face is covered in sweat, and his eye... Like, everybody in this movie acts like they're on some kind of drug. And maybe they are. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like... Seems like a bad trip that somebody filmed. It's very fucking odd, man. Really weird colors and just all this. The little girl escapes and spends like the last 35 minutes of the movie crawling under the hotel trying to escape this alligator crocodile. It's just... And there is some gore. A little bit of gore. This guy, Judd, he comes out... I don't even know where he gets it. He suddenly comes out and he's got like a scythe like the Grim Reaper has. And watching him carry this massive thing around trying to kill these people with it, hitting like parts of the hotel because he can't get a full swing because of a railing or something like that. It's kind of comical, but it's still kind of scary. It's not... It's just an odd feeling movie. It's the best way I can put it.
It looks like, you know, the stuff at the beginning of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. When
they're in Kansas, where everything's clearly fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that, but a horror movie.
Yeah.
And that's because they ran out of money.
Yeah. I guess it's loosely based on a guy, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was loosely based on something, you know. This is very, very loosely based on a guy that lived in southern Texas in the 1930s by the name of Joe Ball. He was also known as Bluebeard from South Texas and the Alligator Man. And basically, he did it like he owned a hotel and did a little crocodile show like they would do, you know, or alligator show where he'd, you know, do what guys do with alligators, you know, to entertain people and have people come pay money to watch him do this shit. And basically, he killed some women, and it was never proven that he took the bodies and fed them to the alligators, but it was kind of, it kind of spawned this legend, and that's kind of what this dude was, I guess, based on. But very similar to Maniac, this guy Judd, the guy that owns the hotel, he's constantly like whispering to himself and talking to himself and mumbling and hearing things, and it's a very chaotic, odd movie. If you want to see something that you've never seen before, because I have never seen this before. I've never seen anything like this before. It's its own thing. 1977's Eaten Alive. I highly recommend
The
it.
best thing about it is Neville Brand.
He's great, man.
because apparently he did a lot of terrible shit during World War II.
He was
like just horrendous.
He was very highly
like,
decorated.
Hand-to-hand combat, stuff like that. Yeah. And when him and Toby Hooper were talking about it, he basically told Neville Brand, "You need to let all that shit out." He said, however that makes you feel, you need to put it into this. And Neville Brand goes, he turns it up to 11 in this movie. Whatever, yes. Like Doug said, the set, everything looks fake. The sets look fake. The cinematography looks like a flashback in an old movie. But he is balls to the walls in this movie.
He makes it. He really does.
I'm gonna put that on my list.
He really does.
Eaten Alive. That's maybe the only one of Toby's I haven't seen, I guess.
I believe that's the only one that I have
distributed for a few years, for a long time.
It's out there. I mean, it's. But for a good one-timer, man, well worth it. Well worth it. That's what I watched.
Lee.
Well, I've only watched a few things. I watched, me and Bonnie watched The Frighteners from 1996. Peter Jackson's The Frighteners.
Yes.
And it's just, I mean, as dated as the CGI is, and it's very, very dated, it's still just a super fun movie. Like that. I mean, I don't know if you watched that with Oliver. That might be a horror movie he might enjoy because it's so fun.
Yeah.
There's really nothing scary about it. I mean, in the best way. It's basically, it's like looking at an old horror comic, but it's live action.
Yeah.
And much like we've talked about James Cameron, I wish Peter Jackson would get back to making movies I wanted to see, as selfish as that sounds. I mean, he was like, last year we covered, or I guess maybe 2 years ago, we covered Dead Alive. And, he's, I know it's still in him. It's still bubbling up there.
I don't think he can get away from fucking hobbits
Middle Earth. He can't get out of Middle Earth.
Fucking shit, man. He just can't escape it.
What was his last one?
His last movie?
He did Lord of the Rings and the whole Hobbits.
And then he did all the Hobbit shit, and then
King Kong, and that's been his last. That's been.
And I understand. As much as I know we have railed on King Kong, and as much as I don't think anybody here loved it like I know that we all probably hoped that we would. I still give him credit for doing it because it's his favorite shit, and he put everything he had into it. It looks fucking amazing. It's just you make a 3.5 hour movie and 2 hours are on a fucking boat. It's a tough sell, right?
But at the same time, if somebody told me you have an unlimited amount of money to make the movie that you loved when you were 8, you can do whatever you want, it would probably not come out great because I'd be so attached to it.
And I think that's exactly what happened to him in this.
Right.
But I don't know what he's doing. I'm hoping, though, that when this new Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings or what the fuck ever shit comes out, where they go,
Yeah, I hear they're going crazy on it.
And he will not be, have to be associated with it. I'm hoping that he does something kind of like Lee's saying that kind of is like more of a throwback to what he used to do. I think that would be really fucking cool. I haven't heard that or anything like that. That's just conjecture on my part. But I would love it. I would love to see it.
He's not doing anything right now but counting his money.
Exactly.
That's true. Damn.
He doesn't have to do anything. He's like James Cameron at this point in time. It probably burned him out.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Titanic did James Cameron. Like Peter Jackson's probably like, dude, I don't ever want to fucking direct another movie ever.
Yeah.
Kind of like I am with cameras now. Like I remember like years ago, I used to hate to sit down and edit. Now I'm like 46. I'm like, here, you guys go out and shoot this shit. I'll sit here on my desk and edit.
Yeah.
I hate it because it just burns you out. I bet that's where he is. What he's done. Sitting in his mansion somewhere looking at his movie posters.
There you
I
go.
guess.
All right, what else?
I watched from 1984. It's a first time watch. Alphabet City. Have either one of you guys ever seen it?
Not that I know of.
Is that the Prince movie?
What's that?
Is that No, that's Alphabet Street.
No, Alphabet City is it's. Do you remember the Vice City games,
Yeah.
the video games.
Yes.
This is as close as you're going to get. Because the dude, he's like a young guy, and the mafia has put him in charge of this like certain amount of like Brooklyn, this like area of Brooklyn called Alphabet City. And he's basically in charge of it all. He's like 22, and he drives a white Camaro, and he wears a leather jacket with like one of those cheesy 80s see-through mesh shirts and fingerless gloves. The movie is nothing but trying to be cool. But the thing is, he's trying basically what nobody realizes is he's trying to escape from all that. He's basically got this plan to get away from it in one night, and then all the criminals in the area figure out, and he's basically got to get out of town. And it's ridiculously 80s. It's just, this movie's so 80s. It has Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies. The only serious thing I've ever seen him do. He plays this crackhead. It's just.
Does he make some? Tell me, he makes some fucking noises like.
He does. He acts weird because he's.
All right.
I mean, he's
He's cracked out.
He's cracked out, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's one of the guys that works for the young Italian kid. And it's like, I mean, it's by no means a masterpiece, but it is just like, if you miss that sort of 80s coolness of like early Michael Mann and stuff, there's worse things you can do than watch Alphabet City.
Where'd you find this?
It is. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's pure 80s-ness.
Nice.
But, that's really all I watched.
Garrick?
Well, this one's probably redundant, but I every year have to watch it at least once. It's Wendy. Give me the bat. Give me the bat, Wendy. I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm just gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Okay.
The Shining. Probably one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watch it at least once a year, and it never gets old.
Am I ever going to put it on and be like, God, ugh?
I don't think I can ever put it on and go, God, ugh.
That's like me and fucking Raiders. I'm the same. It's like I can watch it. I can watch Point Break. I can put it on. Fucking, it never gets old. It's never going to go bad. The Shining, as far as a horror movie, is the exact same to me.
It really is.
It's
a masterpiece, and it's something that's just, I don't know, man. I can put it on. You're right. I always, come October, I get the spooks, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's Halloween. I got to watch The Shining. I got to watch Friday the 13th Part 2. I got to watch Halloween. I got to do all that stuff.
All your bullshit, right.
Yeah. But The Shining is, I mean, it really is, man, like, just, it's superb.
It's perfect.
It is.
Did we... Because I know I watched Dr. Sleep and talked about it. Did you ever...
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just, if you're...
It's on HBO now. I should finish it.
Yeah,
And I watched the TV series with, what's his name, Tim Daly, or who was that guy? Steve somebody?
Steven Weber.
Yeah. And that was good. It was more like the book. I get it. But Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is its own thing. It's its own...
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. There was no other... how he created it and how he wrote it and how he did it it's perfect. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. I think we could all say it's a masterpiece. We could all agree on this.
It is.
100% masterpiece.
Okay, so anyway, we won't get too much further into that besides The Shining is The Shining.
I'm just going to say, before we get off The Shining forever, or for now until next year or whatever, maybe you should go back and try and watch that Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
And then let me know what you think about it.
I'll try to do it myself.
Because I fucking hated it. I'm pretty sure. A lot of it I hated. But the stuff at the Overlook there towards the end is pretty interesting. I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say about it.
Okay, well, and what's great is, Shelley Duvall, that movie practically ruined her.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick, he wouldn't even be able to do what he did to her to get her where she needed to be for that movie. You can't do that anymore. If he was still alive, there would be lawsuits.
Oh, no. Yeah, he would have gotten... Yeah, he'd been canceled, as they say today.
Yeah, he'd be blackballed like Roman Polanski. He'd be done. It'd be the the hashtag Me Too. Yeah, he'd be done. All right. Well, and so then I watched a movie on Shudder called Scare Me from 2020, and the writer-director is Josh Rubin, and it says it's comedy horror, and it was not good at all. Basically, in a nutshell, there's a man and a woman in these cabins. They're both technically writers, and they're running in the morning and run into each other, and she's a famous writer and he is not, but they end up together during a power outage, and they start telling scary stories, and it's a fucking hour and 44 minutes of these two people telling stories in one room, with using basically like Gollum, basically copying different voices, and then they use sound effects. So like when he's talking about jabbing her in the stuff, he grabs her with a knife and starts to cut her, and he does this. You can hear the sound effects. And it's like it was shit. It's fucking miserable.
That sounds.
Wait a minute, it doesn't cut away to like a
story.
Like
no,
you don't see the story.
No,
you
it's
just
them.
See them telling it.
Yep, it's just shots of them back and forth. The cabin, and then at the end, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil it because it's fucking shit, and I don't recommend it for anybody. At the end, throughout this horrible, miserable hour and 45 minutes, you get little hints that the man, Josh, his character, I can't even remember his character, it was so bad, Fred, has a jaded past. Well, at the end, when the storytelling's done, the girl, of course, goes, all right, give me my notebook, I'm leaving. And he's like, oh, this notebook, you've been taking notes, telling these stories, I'm taking this, I'm going to make this my book. And she's like, no, you're not. And he's like, oh, yes, I am. And then, so suddenly he turns into the guy who's going to kill her with a pitchfork, or with a fire poker. Yeah.
I'm already like...
You've already checked out.
I'm already like looking at fucking shit you've got on shelving.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible.
So I don't have to listen to you talk about this goddamn garbage pile.
It's terrible. And what's funny is what's ironic is that they quote Stephen King, where Stephen King said, said something about reading is learning, and the more you read, the better a writer you're going to be. And then they go on to say, watching movies, you're just going to regurgitate the same old shit. And I'm sitting there going, like this fucking movie, like what you guys just did. You guys did exactly the opposite of what you were talking about with Stephen King. It's a piece of shit. Don't watch it. It's called Scare Me. It's on Shudder. Shudder's really beginning to piss me off. There's stuff that's coming out on this shit, like the next one I'm talking about, Haunt. Haunt is, yeah. So this is a movie. It's Haunt, 2019, fucking co-produced or executive produced by Eli Roth, which already tells me it's a piece of shit.
I was hoping for Rob Zombie. I was really hoping
Eli Roth.
You were going to say
just as fucking closely as bad.
Yeah.
But on Halloween, a group of friends encounter an extreme haunted house. Imagine fucking that. That promises to feed on their darkest fears. Of course it does. Because they all start dying in the haunted house. The night turns deadly. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the same old shit. Director Scott Beck, written. The same guys are writer-directors. Where the fuck is Shudder? Or who the fuck are handing out these contracts? I want one. Scare Me, Haunt. I mean, it's shit. This basically, the only thing is the lead actress is beaten by her alcoholic boyfriend, and they break up the night before they go to the haunted house. So a big group goes into the haunted house, and they start fighting all these guys with masks. And it really does feel like a Rob Zombie movie, shot in an Eli Roth lens, basically. And it's shit. It sucks.
So basically, you loved it.
Yeah, it's fucking...
Was there anything about it that you're like, well, that was cool, or that looked good, or nothing? You can't scrape a positive?
No.
Can't just... nothing?
I really can't, man.
Okay.
It's the same shit, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's the same fucking thing.
Hey, I figured I'd give you an opportunity to...
Same fucking thing. Horror movies, over and over, it's the same fucking thing. It's miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it.
That's it.
I mean, yeah, that's it. I was trying to trying to watch some horror movies, but I'm on Shudder, man, and I'm telling you, man, Shudder really starting to let me down. This shit sucks. That's 4 in a row that have sucked. But my 99-cent rental's on Shudder.
Okay.
Should we go on into it? I'll go on into it.
Yep, let's do it.
Sure. I can't wait.
River and I watched this one. This one is a foreign film from 2018 called The Pool. Have you heard of this one?
Oh, yes.
Have you seen this one?
It's a Thai movie.
What's that? Yes.
It's from Thailand.
Yeah. It is the coolest. All right, the effects are not very good, but it is the best hour and a half I've watched in a very long time. This guy, the lead actor, whose name is Day, is he's a wrangler. He works for photos. He's like a camera assistant, and his job is to fill this pool up and empty the pool after this big movie shoot. So they leave him behind, and a series of dumb things that he does ends up finding him stuck in the pool, and he can't get out because there's nobody around. And they have some incidences, things happen, and an alligator ends up in the pool with him. And for an hour and 10 minutes of this movie, or 9 minutes of this movie, you're gripping your sofa going, oh my God, dude, get out of the fucking pool! Get out of the pool! It's good. And if you can get past the alligators, the effects are a little bit rough, but it's generally pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it. It's really good. You should check it out. It's called The Pool. It's your 99-cent rental. I'll never watch it again, but it was a very fun hour and a half. One time, you should do it. And it's on Shudder.
I should say it's a giant Olympic-sized swimming pool. It's not like a pool in someone's house.
Oh, yeah, he could, yeah.
It's like a 20-foot pool, so it's not one you could just, like, walk out of, you know.
Yeah, Dummy starts emptying the water while he's on a float in the middle. And then he realizes, or what happened? Then this dog, I can't even remember something. His dog loses the rope or something. Make a long story short, he gets trapped in this thing, and it turns into every little thing, every decision that he makes makes it even worse, to the point where at the end you're just like, oh my God, dude.
Okay.
But yes, you should check it out, The Pool. I wouldn't spend $5 a month on it. I could sit there.
I had that subscription for well over a year, and I can count on one hand how many great movies I watched.
Well, let's see. You're right.
Two of them, you know, of the less than 5 are, one is Mandy, and one is Revenge.
I was going to say two of,
but outside of that, I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Well, and what's funny is it's got it's got Halloween, the original, but how many times do you see that? And Reanimator, that you'll always be able to see Reanimator or Halloween.
Well, it's
you
more
got Billy Bob's stuff, but Billy Bob's stuff's very gimmicky. You don't watch it all the time, even though we all love Billy Bob.
I guess I mean more there.
Joe Bob, excuse me. Why did I say Billy Bob?
Billy Bob. It's more like the original content.
Yeah.
The new stuff.
It's just, man, it's just not what I like, you know.
That's fair.
Yeah. Just not what I like. I find really better, more original and deeper cuts, if you will, of different genre horrors on Amazon Prime, and if you start digging, dude, you get in a rabbit hole, you can go.
Oh yeah, Prime's the new video store.
You can go fucking miles with it, man, and that's my definitely go-to.
Oh yeah,
Looking
like
for
I used to walk around a video store and just find a random movie. That's what you do now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Because Netflix movie selection sucks. I mean, everything. Prime is just this like endless library of
Yeah.
Netflix is
good or shit.
Netflix is Blockbuster Video, whereas Prime is like the locally owned video store that has the back room full of other stuff.
And then behind that, there's another back
There's
room
another back
and
room.
another back room, and it never fucking ends, man. And I love it. I really do. I mean, I'll find myself sitting there just trying to, pull up a movie and then look for something that others watch this, and then something from that. And you
That's how you find stuff other viewers watch.
yeah, and the next thing you know, I'm like 15 down and looking at shit, and I'm just like, oh my god, an hour and a half's gone by. I don't even have time to fucking watch a movie anymore because I had so much fun on this journey, this chase, and that's it. Like Prime to me, dude. They're doing it right in that aspect. Hulu, they just don't have enough content, especially movie wise, for my taste. And Netflix is very.
Mainstream. Everything's
It
mainstream.
feels more like corporate-y.
Yeah. It's mainstream. It's AMC.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get Barbarella versus
Yeah.
the fucking vampires from Hammer Productions.
Yeah, the shit that you can find on fucking Prime these days, dude. I mean, it's...
Beaver. What was that? Beaver Creek. Blood Orgy at Beaver Creek. I mean, you wouldn't find that on Netflix ever.
No.
So there you go. Prime wins the stream.
Yeah.
Prime wins
For
the stream.
movie lovers like me that, I like some fucking random shit, it's the best. Like Lee said, it's second. It's the only thing that would be better would be to actually go to a video store and hand look for shit like I used to do back in the olden days. As I used to love doing that, man. I'd go that little video store that was down beside of the Harris Teeter down there.
Oh yeah.
Back in the late
Stamey's.
80s.
Remember Stamey's?
Dude, I would go in there on a fucking Saturday and be in there for 2 hours walking around looking at stuff to where the guy working the desk is like, kid, like, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I don't know. Well, you've got 5 movies in your hand. Like, are you going to get any of them? I don't know. I fucking miss that, dude. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of miss, Golden Ticket is now open. If you want to go inside, if you don't care about any of this, and you want to go watch movies, they have actual showtimes inside. And for anybody that doesn't want to go inside, they are still providing the drive-through on the back wall of it. So you have an option of 3 different movies in 2 different places. So check it out, gtccinemas.com, and try to go back to the movies at some point. You need to. I don't know when, but
Looks like it's fucking Easter for me, man.
God,
Yeah.
crazy.
I can't imagine waiting. Like, this is the longest I've gone without going to a movie, and
Ever.
yeah, it sucks.
Well, that's it for this show.
Is it?
Yeah, we got anything else?
I don't
I'm
know.
yawning over here. God,
No, we're good. I think that's it.
What? So we're sticking with the slasher.
Yeah, explain
Correct.
to me why we're not watching Wolf Creek Episode 1. Lee, we're doing Wolf Creek 2.
Because Wolf Creek 1 is a very good movie, but it takes about 30 minutes to get going. Wolf Creek 2 takes about 30 seconds to get going. And I just think it would be a better conversation.
All right, well, there you go. Wolf Creek 2 coming in next week for our second week.
Wolf Creek 2 and tell me I'm not wrong.
All right, well, we'll find out momentarily.
All right.
Find out soon. Well, Slasher Month keeps going. We're out for this week. And remember, don't go through the woods by yourself. Okay?
Or do.
Don't get a Shudder subscription. Right? And,
Wash your hands if you want to. At this point, I really don't even fucking care anymore.
wow. So Doug doesn't give a fuck if you wash your hands. And pay for your movies.
If you
Exactly.
fucking movies, yes. Sure.
He's a maniac on the floor, and he's killing like he's never killed before. He's a maniac on the floor. No, mommy, stop hitting me! Stop hitting me, mommy! And he's dancing like he never Yes, people.